Joining us now to take this conversation forward, Singh, strategic affairs expert and former diplomat, and also Einar, Tangen, economics expert, who joins us on the line from China. Ambassador Singh, let me start by asking you on what you believe seems to have led to this peace. We don't know whether this is temporary or this is a band-aid ahead of the BRICS summit, but what do you believe has resulted in this de-escalation after 70 days of confrontation?
I think the Chinese realized that they tried threatening, they tried through Global Times and other newspapers issuing all kinds of threats about war and physical action. None of that was working. If anything, they found India closing ranks with US, India closing ranks with Japan, and they must have done their numbers, because if it came, and India also started an inquiry into data transfer.
We seem to have lost that. We seem to have lost that line with Ambassador Singh. We'll get back to him, but let me bring in Einar Tangen, expert from China, also with us. Mr. Tangen, thanks very much. How is this being read in China? Both sides at this point in time, at least the Chinese not explicitly stating that there is a de-escalation, not saying whether the road construction in Doklam will stop, but as our colleague Zaka Jacob was reporting, construction equipment is moving out of the area. The Ministry of External Affairs in India has unequivocally said that both sides have agreed to disengage. How is this being read in China, and where do you see this headed from here on?
Well, from the Chinese perspective, this is long overdue. Obviously, there were talks going on for a period of 6 weeks where both sides, and it explains why the Indian government was silent despite the kind of news media hype on both sides, which was being perpetrated. And this is the best result that you can possibly have. And I'm quite frankly surprised that so many people seem unhappy and suspicious with what should be a very, very good result. And that is two countries who will not be going to war with each other, will not be engaging in economic things. Whether this is the beginning, I think it presents an opportunity. The BRICS conference is a very important one. It's one that has realigned the known world. And it's a possibility that China takes very seriously, as it does its relationship with India. So I think there's firm footing here. Mm-hmm. The question is, will OVOR, the Belt and Road Initiative, figure into this? Will the nuclear suppliers group figure into this? I think there's ample ground to be thinking. So I'm a little bit disappointed by many of my Indian colleagues who seem to think that it's something that should be viewed suspiciously when it's actually tremendous news.
Well, I don't think we have one of those experts on air right now. I think Ambassador Singh also welcomes the move, and I'll get back to him in just a second. But, you know, Mr. Tangen, as you pointed out, there are several other pending issues, whether it's the OBOR or the nuclear suppliers group. And, of course, those will be matters that diplomacy on both sides will need to take into consideration. But for now, do you believe that the manner in which India responded to China this time around has changed perhaps the balance of power in any form or fashion?
No, I don't. I think this was a miscalculation on both sides. I don't think that it's appropriate to escalate situations where you feel concerned. If there's a diplomatic approach, I think it would have been far better for India to simply have lodged a protest in concert with Bhutan. But sending troops over a demarcated line is going to be tricky. And if the situation was reversed, I think India would be rightly concerned if Chinese troops were in an area of contention between it and another country. So in the end, I think both sides have learned that diplomacy is better than having pointless standoffs which threaten the very vitality of the two largest nations with the two largest growth rates in the world. Together, China and India can go forward and very well and redefine the economies of the world. Apart, can only do damage to each other.
Finally, Mr. Tangen, what would your expectations be from the BRICS summit that China is hosting?
My expectation is that there will be a statement that the BRICS will jointly make that says no BRICS nation will do harm to another BRICS nation. There should be no armed conflict. I think this is one of the premises of having these types of groups, that it is about trade and development, not about warfare and imposing views. The second thing, I think there will be a breakthrough in terms of the Belt and Road Initiative, or the One Belt and Road Initiative, depending on how you phrase it, that India will, in fact, support it and say that this is something that can be part of a future India-China relations. Now, remember, let us take a step back. What does this do? It will redefine the India-Pakistan-China triangle in a way which is, I think, more conducive for everybody. It will take a lot of pressure off China if there's an alternate route through a peaceful and secure India. It will benefit India by having much-needed infrastructure, transportation, going through a country which is badly in need of this. So I think there are a lot of positives that could come out of this, and I think that's what we should be looking for, not looking for the cloud in the silver lining.
Well, Mr. Tangen, you've ended on a note that we hope to take forward here in our conversations and our discussions. But thanks very much for highlighting the significant issues that are on the table and, of course, what we should expect from the BRICS summit in the context of the Doklam standoff and the de-escalation that's taken place today. Appreciate your time here on CNBC TV 18.